Tired of just learning English from a textbook?
Ready to speak your mind for real?
You found your space. This is where the conversation gets real. The opinions are welcome and your English comes alive.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the Real Talk Society, the place where you will find other people willing to talk freely without worrying about mistakes or errors. Here, you will learn that speaking English is not the main goal. It is learning to communicate with emotions and fluency.
Welcome everyone to Real Talk Society. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sophia. And today we are diving into something I think everyone has experienced, the conversation killer, the one-word answer.
Yeah, the dreaded fine or good. So the episode is called Why You Only Give Short Answers.
Let's get into it.
So I got something super rare for you, Sophia. Well, not rare, but interesting fact to start us off. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I asked him how this huge project at work went. You know, the one he'd been stressing about for weeks.
Okay, the big one.
Yeah, and all I got back was, it went okay. That's it. And the conversation it stopped cold. It honestly felt like hitting a wall.
Yes. Oh, that's the perfect way to describe it, a wall. Because a short answer is a conversational dead end. It's a period at the end of a sentence that really should have been a comma or an ellipsis, something that signals more to come.
Right. It's not just an answer, it's a signal.
Exactly. A good conversation is about expansion, not just reaction. I like to think of it as conversational generosity versus conversational stinginess. A short answer is stingy. It gives nothing for the other person to work with.
Conversational stinginess. I've never heard that before, but it fits perfectly. So that leads to the big question, right? Why are people stingy? Why do they do it? Is it always because they don't want to talk?
That's the big question. And it's so rarely that simple. It's not always malicious or even intentional. I think there are a few core reasons. First off, it's often about fear.
Fear? Fear of what?
Fear of oversharing, fear of being judged, fear of boring the other person. You know, there's this psychological thing called the spotlight effect, where we feel like people are paying way more attention to us and judging us way more harshly than they actually are. So it feels safer to just give the minimal required information.
So you're trying not to mess up, basically.
Precisely. It's an emotional protection mechanism. Second point is about energy. Plain and simple. It takes real cognitive and emotional energy to formulate a thoughtful, expansive answer. Think of it like a social battery.
Right.
And sometimes your battery is at 5%. You just don't have the juice. After a long day, the energy to tell the whole story of your day just isn't there. Fine becomes the only answer you can afford to give.
Okay, that's fair. I've definitely been there. So we have fear and energy. What else?
A really big one is just habit or modeling. We learn communication patterns from our families, our friends, our workplaces. And if you grew up in a place where people didn't really elaborate or share feelings openly, short answers can become your unconscious default setting. You don't even realize you're doing it.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. It's like a learned behavior, an accent, but for conversation.
That's a great way to put it. And finally, the last big one, which is what you felt with your friend, is that sometimes, yes, it is an intentional signal. It's a polite, non-confrontational way of saying, I don't have the capacity or the desire to get into this with you right now. It's a boundary.
Okay, so we have fear, energy, habit, and boundaries. That's a lot. So what's the opposite? What does that conversational generosity you mentioned actually sound like?
Oh, this is my favorite part. It's about building. A great expansive answer has layers. It's not about being long-winded, it's about providing different kinds of information so the other person has something to grab onto. I call it the three-layer cake.
A cake? Okay, I'm listening.
Layer one is the direct answer, the what. So if someone asks, "How was your weekend?" the direct answer is, "It was good."
Right. The conversation killer.
The conversation killer on its own, yes, but it's the foundation. Layer two is the feeling or the opinion, the how I feel about it. So you'd add, "It was really relaxing."
Mm-hmm. Okay. Error.
Much better. Now for layer three, the magic layer, the story or the example, the why. This is where you give a little snapshot, a little piece of your experience. So the full answer becomes, "It was good. It was really relaxing, actually. I spent Saturday just reading in the park, and I haven't done that in ages. It felt amazing to just disconnect."
Whoa, okay, yeah, that is completely different because now I have options. I can ask about the book or the park or about disconnecting.
Exactly. You just turned a closed door into three open ones. You've offered them a way into your world. That's the core of it. An expansive answer is an invitation.
Okay, let me try one. If you ask me, seen any good movies lately? My first instinct is to say, yeah, saw that new sci-fi one.
Okay, that's layer one, the direct answer. Now add layer two, your feeling.
Yeah, I saw that new sci-fi one. I actually really loved it.
Good. Now layer three, the why. Give me a little story.
Right. Yeah, I saw that new one, Starfall, and I actually really loved it. The visuals were insane, of course, but I think, well, actually, I know the story about family really stuck with me. It was surprisingly emotional.
Yes, see, that's perfect. Now I know what you valued about it. It wasn't just the explosions, it was the emotion. That tells me something about you and gives me a real, authentic place to connect.
That's such a good point. An invitation. But, this still feels like a lot to remember in the moment, the three-layer cake. How can someone practice this without, sounding like they're giving a speech?
Totally. It has to feel natural. You don't want to sound rehearsed. So I have a few simple, actionable tips. First one is my absolute favorite, the and rule.
The and rule?
Mm-hmm. When you give your initial short answer, just mentally add the word and to the end of it. Your brain will automatically start looking for something to add. So, how was work? It was busy, and we finally launched that new feature. See? It just prompts the next layer naturally without you having to think about it.
Huh. That's really simple. I like that. What else?
Another is to just focus on adding one extra thing. Don't worry about the whole cake. Just add a feeling or just add a small detail. It's about taking one small step beyond the default. And my third tip is to use I statements. Instead of just stating a fact like the movie was long, start with I felt or I thought that. So I felt like the movie really dragged in the middle.
So it's less about the objective facts and more about your personal experience of the facts.
You got it, because your experience is unique and interesting. And that leads to the final, most important tip, the give and take back. After you give your expansive answer, hand the conversation back with an open-ended question. So after your movie answer, you could add, "What about you? Have you seen anything that made you think lately?" That turns your generous answer into a true dialogue.
The give and take back. I like that. So you offer something and then you invite them to offer something in return.
Yes, and that is what we are all about here at Real Talk Society, right? Getting people to open up the dialogue in their own lives. It's about remembering you're a co-creator of the conversation, not just a witness on the stand answering questions.
Wow. Okay, my mind is officially blown. So to recap, people give short answers because of fear, low energy, habit, or to set a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And a good expansive answer has layers: the what, how I feel, and the why.
The cake.
The cake, right. And to practice, we can use the and rule, add just one extra detail, use I statements, and then use the give and take back.
You nailed it. And I think the biggest takeaway is just to be a little more generous in conversation. You don't have to tell your life story, but offer a little piece of yourself. You will be amazed at what you get back.
This is all fantastic advice for being a more generous conversationalist. But what about when you're on the receiving end? What do you do when you've asked a thoughtful question and you just get back, fine?
That's the other side of the coin, isn't it? And it can be just as tricky. My first piece of advice is don't take it personally. Remember those 4 reasons we talked about? Fear, energy, habit, and boundaries? Most of the time, a short answer is about the other person's state, not about you.
That's easier said than done, though, right? When you put yourself out there and ask a genuine question, a one-word answer can feel like a door shutting in your face. It's hard not to feel a little rejected.
It absolutely is, and it's okay to feel that way. The key is what you do next. Instead of retreating, you can try to gently pry the door open a little wider. One of the best ways to do this is with curiosity. You can ask a follow-up question that's more specific and easier to answer than the big, open-ended one you started with.
Be more generous. I love that. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for this, Sophia. This was genuinely so helpful. If you want to continue the conversation, find us on our socials as Real Talk Society Club. And please subscribe to YouTube and like our podcast wherever you get them. It really helps our traffic. We'll talk to you next week. Have a nice one.
Anytime, Alex. And thank you to everyone for listening to Real Talk Society. Until we meet again.